growth below 2% every year for the foreseeable future. I mean, this is pretty sobering stuff.
Yes. Now, of course, no one's got a wonderful forecasting record. I have to say that the OBR hasn't either, and I think it's being much too pessimistic. No one knows what's going to happen, but I do find it rather bizarre, really. Here we've got the whole of government policy dictated by a downgrade of about 0.5% per annum in the growth forecasts. Since March, the OBR's changed its mind over the last few months. I think it could prove to be really seriously wrong.
So why do you think the OBR is being overly pessimistic?
Well, the fact is it's been optimistic, I suppose, like many of us, for a while about productivity growth. It slumped at the time of the Great Recession following the financial crisis, and the OBR was of the view that it would recover, and it's backed that view many times and been proved wrong. I think it's just thrown in the towel and thought that, frankly, it better be pretty cautious and assume that productivity growth now stays low.
In terms of some of the other measures that we might have expected, what was missing for you?
Well, first of all, I think an overarching vision of the future. He hasn't got much money to dish out, fair enough, but I think it would have been quite nice to have seen some sort of view of what he would like to do if he does have that money. And I think he will, actually, because I think the OBR will be proved wrong. But we didn't get anything about the shape of the tax system, anything about the balance between spending and taxes, corporation tax beyond the period when we're going to cut the rate, income tax. None of this, really. I thought that was really very lacking. So it wasn't a very inspiring budget. It was probably better than the pessimists had feared, but it wasn't really an awful lot to write home about.
An extra £38 billion worth of borrowing over the next 4 years. I mean, the Tories are supposed to stand for sound money. Do you think they've given up hope of ever balancing the books?
No. I know these numbers are very, very high, but I think this is actually the right thing to do. Borrowing has come down an awful long way. We mustn't forget this. It was about 10% of GDP at the peak. It's coming down to 2% or so next year, be well below 2% in a few years' time. The debt ratio, it's still appallingly high. It's going to peak, depending on which measure you take, just under about 90% of GDP. This is very high, but it's about to turn down. I'm pretty confident it's about to turn down. Now, given all that, I think the fiscal crisis that Britain has lived through is largely over.
Pretty encouraging stuff. Roger Bootle, we've got to leave it there. Roger Bootle from Capital Economics. Thanks for joining me.